Today Canon announced their R6 Mark III, but in this video I will make Sony shooters happy because the Sony A7V is finally coming and I have some additional info that I got from trusted sources, so no more guessing around. There is stuff that is really solid, including a new leaked image of the camera. So before we kick off, if you appreciate what I'm doing, all that info is exclusive first on this channel and on sonyalpha, then please like this video to help me YouTube algorithm, because I'm still a small channel and others to copy allegedly my info. But if you like this video, it just helps me to be a bit more on top when people search for Sony cameras. And then obviously subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button to not miss out the upcoming rumors. So now we will talk about 5 aspects around the Sony A7V. The announcement time, the shipment start, the sensor, the leaked image that I can show exclusive for you today, and shows a couple of things that are interesting. And then the 5th aspect are the specs that we know so far, and also some guessing and some comparison with the Canon R6 Mark III, because this is going to be a very interesting battle between the two cameras. Okay folks, let's kick off with the announcement time, and this already is completely unusual from Sony. I told you weeks ago that one source told me that the time frame of the announcement is between mid-November and early December, and now I got a confirmation from another trusted source that the Sony A7V will be announced in very early December, so in exactly 1 month from now. So it could be the first week of December. I still don't have the exact date, but I should get it soon, so I'm sure that within a couple of days I will let you know the exact announcement date, but it's the first week of December, and this is completely unusual for Sony. I wrote down their past announcement for the cameras. Last year we got on November 19 the Sony A7V, A9 III on November 7. The year before, on October 26, we got the Sony A7rVI, and 4 years ago, October 21, we got the Sony A7IV. As you see, Sony always announced their big guns of the year between mid-October and mid-November. And it's so super unusual that they announced it early December, and it makes me wonder if this has to do something with the Canon R6 Mark III. That's just a speculation of mine. Maybe they wanted to wait and see how the R6III would be to price accordingly the Sony A7V. I don't know, or maybe the Sony A7V was planned to be announced in January with shipment in February, March, but now they anticipated it because they saw that they have to counter the announcement of the Canon R6 Mark III. That I don't know, but it's completely unusual. For the first time we are getting a very important alpha camera announcement in beginning of December. You make of it what you want. Let me know in the comment system what your opinion is. Anyway, the source, actually 2 sources, told me that Sony will have this product announcement event in early December. Actually, they've been told by Sony that there will be a new camera, but I'm sure this is going to be the Sony A7V. Keep in mind also, one camera has been registered in Asia already a couple of weeks ago, so this is official. Some of you asked if there will be also a new A7R6, because the A7rVI is heavily discounted right now, like the Sony A7 IV, but I got 0 indication that the Sony A7R6 would be coming before the Sony A7V or along the Sony A7V. Now, I would be happy to be mistaken if you would get both cameras. I own the Sony A7rVI, love that series. If there is a Sony A7R6 coming, I think it's more likely that it will be announced in 2026, and I don't have rumors yet about what kind of specs to expect, but I think it will have a new sensor. Moving on, shipment start. And there is a good news here, because according to one of the trusted sources, Sony aims to ship the first batch of cameras before Christmas, while most of the people will start to get the cameras in January. So if you pre-order as up on the day of the announcement, you might be lucky to get the camera before Christmas. So check out sonyalpha and also follow this channel. As soon as I have pre-order links to the camera, I will put them online so that you can be among the first to pre-order the camera, but a first batch will start to ship out. The third info is about the sensor. Now, this is another source that told me something about this. The first trusted sources didn't share specs as of yet. I think maybe in the next weeks they will do. But there's a third source that told me that he directly chatted to a very important Sony manager, and he also gave me evidence about this that I'm not going to share. And that Sony manager said that the Sony A7V will have a new sensor. Okay, now we know how it is. We can never trust a single source, obviously, even if it means it well. Also, Sony managers sometimes say it's a new sensor, then it's a tweaked sensor. So the definition of new is not clear, but I do hope that it's at least a new partially stacked sensor, just to improve the speed of the sensor, because the Sony A7 IV sensor is quite a slow sensor compared to what we have now from the competition, like Canon R6III, the Panasonic S1 II, Nikon Z6III, and so forth. Okay, so I hope that in the next days I can finally get put a nail in the coffin and tell you that this is a 33 megapixel partially stacked sensor. The only leaked image I got and I shared in the past shows that on the menu the A7V has a 33 megapixel resolution, but what kind of sensor it is not clear. Now, what I can show you is another leaked image. 1 month ago I shared a leaked image of the back of the camera where you saw that it has the same A7rVI body. Okay, you can also see the A7V logo on the top left. Now I have a new image. It shows the front of the camera, and we learn two things. First of all, it doesn't have the C5 button from the Sony A1 II. So the C5 button is a customizable button normally used on the A1 II for pre-capture. Now I don't think that's a proof that pre-capture is not on the Sony A7V. It only shows that it doesn't have the Sony A1 II body, that's it, okay? It has the A7rVI body, so it makes sense there is no C5 button near the lens. If it has pre-capture, I still don't know. I think it would be wise for them to add this feature, also because the Canon R6 Mark III has it, and it's basically just a software feature from what I understand, so there's no specific hardware needed to give you pre-capture. So I hope that the Sony A7V, despite not having the C5 button, has pre-capture, and I think then we are fine and you simply use one of the other customizable buttons for pre-capture. Now what you also see is obviously the grip. You see it's the grip of the A7rVI, which again confirms that the whole body, front, back, top, is the same of the Sony A7rVI, and no big news here. It's perfectly fine. I have the A7rVI. I'm happy with that body design. Of course, the A9 III and the A1 II body design is still a tiny bit better, but it makes sense for an entry mid-level full-frame camera to have the A7rVI bodies, and I'm fine with it. Now, let's move on to the speculated specs, okay? I told you already about the sensor. 33 megapixel is likely. We don't know if partially or not partially stacked. If it's the same sensor, I don't know if Sony would be able to squeeze out more frames per second on the sensor or improve the video capability. I'm very skeptical about the video capability. As you know, 4K 60p crop, I don't think you can get around this. Not even the FX2 was able to get around this, so I don't think they keep the same sensor that they can improve much on the video front, which would be disappointing, and which makes me also hope that indeed we're getting a new 33 megapixel sensor design that simply has a faster readout, allowing for faster frame rate, but particularly better video, which is the main aspect where the A7 IV now lags behind the competition. So they have to improve there. And so fingers crossed we are getting something better on that level. When it comes to the specs, okay, 33 megapixel sensor, we have to see which sensor it is. Then the frame rate will be improved from what I have been told. I was given one number by one source, but I'm not sure about it. But the current A7 IV has 10 frames per second mechanical shutter. The Canon R6 Mark III that just has been announced today has 12 frames per second mechanical shutter and 40 frames per second in electronic shutter. I told you in my previous video, I'm a fan of the mechanical shutter because you don't have the penalty of dynamic range and also no artifacts, which I often get, for example, when I try to shoot electronic shutter with the A7rVI. I know the Panasonic S1 II manages to give you an option where you can have electronic shutter, but also a slower version with higher dynamic range. if I'm not mistaken, so correct me if I'm saying something wrong, so maybe a partially stacked Sony's 33 megapixel sensor for the Sony A7V could have the option to give you fast frame rate in electronic shutter mode, but still a good mechanical shutter and still an option to have high dynamic range. If it uses the same 33 megapixel sensor of the A7 IV, they might be able to still go up a tiny bit with the mechanical shutter frame rate, so from 10 to 12 could be possible like the Canon R6III, but not much more than that. The real issue, like I told you, is video. If it's the old sensor, not much will change. If it's a new partially stacked sensor, then we can have 4K 60p without crop, maybe 6K RAW, just like the Canon R6III. I'm a bit more skeptical about Open Gate, but with all the pressure Sony is feeling around Open Gate, because everybody's talking about it, this is just a software thing. They could add it even later, so maybe they announce the Sony A7V without Open Gate and say with the next firmware update we will give you Open Gate. We have learned now that Sony is very consistent with firmware updates, so this makes me hopeful that if we just keep commenting this YouTube video because Sony will read it and you will insist, give us this, then maybe they will really give us Open Gate. I'm joking, I'm a small website, but if all the community just keeps annoying the managers, the nice people at Sony, then maybe we're getting Open Gate. I don't think it's coming with the A7V yet. For the rest, everything is well known on the A7V because it has the same A7R5 body, so it will have the same IB system, so up from 5.5 stops of the A7 IV, around 8 stops of the A7R5, the fully articulating screen, the grip, obviously dual card slot SD and Type A, the AI chip, that's the major improvement that will really make a difference. The AI chip will improve the autofocus, subject recognition and so forth, so about this is this we know it's coming and we'll put it on par, if not make it even a tiny bit better than the Canon R6 Mark III. Pricing, I've been told under $3,000. The Canon R6 Mark III is priced at $2,799. Don't know if it will be $2,799 or $2,899 for the A7V, but that's the ballpark. So let me now know in the comment system what you think about this camera. Of course, the key thing here is still the sensor, but for the rest, I think we know more or less what to expect. And also, if you happen to stumble upon info that you think is reliable, contact me using this email address and contact form. Everything you send me helps me. Obviously, I nearly forgot about this. Sony also has 3 lenses that will be announced soon. I actually heard about a 4th lens, but this will be a separate rumor, okay? But the 3 lenses are the 100-400 GM 4.0. Then there will be also a variable aperture version of the 100-400 labeled as G and not GM, and also a wide angle 2.0 zoom. I don't know if one of those 3 lenses will be announced along the Sony A7V. I give it a good chance that this will happen. So we might also get some of those lenses. I don't think all 3 lenses with the A7V. This means that before Christmas you're likely have to spend a lot of money on new gear, because the first week of December Sony will have the product announcement event and maybe finally we're getting an A7V and some new lenses. Folks, that's it. I'm going back to work now, to my real work, okay? And then late at night I will read your comments under this video, and hopefully in the meantime the sources will also spill out some more info, and then I will make a new video ASAP, okay, for you. Folks, see you very soon.